Good afternoon from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. It's 2 p.m. on the 6th, I had to think about it, the 6th of May 2023. So I'm making this video because I'm very conscious that the gods, the etheric beings, the all sentient beings, all magical and mystical and angelic and spiritual forces are hearing my affirmations, manifestations, prayers, heartfelt goals and intentions. And it's a little bit startling, to be honest, a little bit not startling in a negative way, but just a little bit amazing. So I'm well aware that general people, I'm talking in the neighborhood and, people that you come across in public or in the outside of my little sacred little niche spot I've made for myself here at Holland Park. I'm well aware that people are frightened of me and think I'm weird because, I talk to the angels and the spirits and the gods, and as a Jewish person it's a little bit unusual too, but I was born this way. I was created this way. Not necessarily always by choice. I was tested, I was burdened, I was inflicted, I was afflicted, I was abused and traumatized and maligned and misused and slandered for decades. So I did not just wake up one day and suddenly become this person. It's been a training ground over 5, almost 6 decades. And I had to learn to make peace with that. And I really didn't quite make peace with it until my suicide attempt back in 2015, when I realized I wasn't allowed to die. And death at that point in time, felt like it was the only option and a sweet release, right? And when I woke up the next day in the hospital, I realized I'm not allowed to die. And that completely disempowered me to not even have choice in my own spirit of my own, decisions were taken literally out of my own hands. So what did I do? The very next day when I woke up in hospital, they didn't keep me in because I wasn't mad. I was just severely traumatized and wanted it all to end, really. But what did I do? What was my response? Following week, pushed myself back out there and went back out dancing. And I've been dancing out in the same scene for 12 years now. Originally, I did dance at Irish Murphy's across the road from the Treasury Casino for about 2 years, but it turned so toxic and evil there that I've never set foot in that place ever again, and I never will. So I'm riding this sort of wave now of just noticed my charger's a bit wonky. Sorry, just had a little freak out about that. That's not good. Sorry, being distracted by a charger while I'm making a YouTube video. It's my Dremel charger, that's why I freaked out. So I'm monitoring this wave, this wave function collapse, as Thomas Sheridan calls it in his YouTube videos. And it is indeed a wave function collapse. And how I know it is, that he's accurate about that, is the energetic beings are working with me quite intensely, and I'm very attuned to them. And for a long time I wondered if I was going mad, but my psychiatrist concurs. He said, no, you're very attuned. He said, I'll say something that seems, even to my mind, to be a bit strange, and then within a matter of weeks or months it actually happens, or aspects of it happens, right? And so he sits up and takes notice too. Anyway, so the problem I've had since 2014, when the gods, he was actually brought into my life as a manifestation of love from an Ojibwa medicine person, not a medicine man. He wasn't at that level of medicine man, but he explained it to me. He was 3 levels down, called a Maduan, which is a healer. So he actually said he would light up my spirit to attract the man for me, right? And of course, I thought, being silly and female and a bit idealistic and romantic, that the right man for me would be the man that chooses me as his partner and loves me dearly and forms a committed, loyal, faithful, loving partnership. And no, the gods, the ancient Ojibwa spirits and whoever else is up there in the multiverses, sent me an Englishman with dreadlocks who definitely lit up my spirit and definitely was the one, but only in the aspect that instead of being the love of my life and in a committed, loving partnership, he was yet another manifestation of cruel, sadistic, lackluster, cold, aloof drama. Men who just love to just come and stare at me at the casino and do this. There was another one there last night who started coming regularly. I think it was only his 2nd or 3rd time that he's been there. And I actually confronted him and asked him if he had a brother named Dave, because he had his energy, his self-same energy, twittery and bird-like and fascinated, but also terrified and nervous, and the eyes are darting left, right and centre, which is actually kind of the hallmarks of a psychopath too. But it's also a sign of a PTSD survivor, because you're hypervigilant and you're constantly monitoring your surrounds. But then I watched this man watching me from the. He sits close to the bar at the tables close to the bar, so like other end of the dance floor from me. So it's quite safe, but it's a bit disconcerting. And the disconcerting part for me, it's done nothing to me. It just watches, 50% of the other men that go there. Because they're all inept and inadequate, don't know how to treat a woman, right? So all we can do is watch. Don't think, would you like to go out for dinner, or can I take you on a date somewhere? I treat you like a person, they're just there watching. And look, I'm accustomed to that. It's been like that for 12 years. It's not going to change. Not in a hurry anyway. I'm working towards that goal, though, of raising these men up so that they grow up and behave like real men, but I don't think it's ever going to happen. And it's not actually my job. It's not my job to teach them how to be manly and decent and honouring and respectful. I guess they do learn it by osmosis when I tell them to fuck off, right, when they're inappropriate and creepy. But anyway, this particular man wasn't inappropriate and creepy. Actually, I was the weird one, because I approached him and said, do you have a brother named Dave? And when he said no, I said, oh, good, I just don't like being spied on by ex-lovers. Well, who does? It's creepy and weird. If they want to know something about you, all they have to do is get on your YouTube or pick up the phone when you call them, or call you themselves, don't send weirdos out to monitor me and supervise me like I'm some lab rat. I'm not a mascot. I'm not a lab rat. I'm a real person with real heart and real mind, real feelings. And when my feelings and my heart and mind are incongruent, my intuition takes over. And God help those that make my intuition twang in all the wrong in all the wrong channels. But anyway, I have a feeling that this man that's been watching me, apart from the obvious that he's attracted and wants to, have sexual congress with me under probably, not necessarily acceptable terms to my mind, because they're that inadequate and creepy, aren't they? But apart from the obvious that he obviously has an attraction, I actually do believe he's sent to spy by some idiot, someone who just lacks couth and grace and style and enough honour to stand on his own 2 feet and do his own dirty work, right? So anyway, there was that. But what I did observe last night as part of the wave function collapse, a week ago when I met the lovely Cecil, who was sweet and affectionate and romantic and generous and loving and everything a man could be. The only thing that was wrong was he was, 18 years my junior and killed animals for a living. I did tell him I forgave that, but I find it a bit off-putting. But a lovely, lovely man. I had a lovely evening with him last weekend. So last weekend I said that I had observed a lot of saboteurs, that I had always thought I was paranoid. I'm really paranoid. And my psych even used to, said to me on Wednesday, for my debrief, he said, "You're not paranoid, Tanya." I used to always say, "Oh, you're probably right about that." But because I hadn't seen it so overtly, I wasn't 100% sure. I thought maybe I am going a bit, loop-de-loop. Loop-de-loop, nutty. No, because last night, all those saboteur men that are really quite vicious and nasty, that I hadn't realised were so vicious and nasty, right? Not until I actually met a lovely man who was being courtly and kind. But they showed their true colours. The moment that I had a gentleman paying me attention and being sweet. None of those vicious men were there last night. And that's very interesting to me, because I have done work with voodoo gods. I have made offerings, and I have, meditated and had messages coming, not just from voodoo gods, but, spirits across the whole palette of the multiverse of love, light, and positive regard and intent, right? So last week I said, Guardian of the Crossroads, Papa Legbar, I said, the saboteurs be gone. And he's in my life. My daughter was quite frightened. She went all Christian on me. He's a demon. I said, no, he's a benevolent, protective spirit, provided you treat him with honour and integrity like any other spirit one meets in the known universe. So I said, I actually put it up as a Facebook status. It's still up there. Something about cross eyes and crossbows and crossroads, because the reason being, I kept running into Dave of the dreadlocks, the Englishman, wannabe Jamaica man, that one of my spirits and one of my trance drummings referred to as the Trinidad fairy, which I thought was delightful. As soon as I said, "Oh, look, the Trinidad fairy," I knew exactly who they meant. Like, it was just so cheeky and sarcastic and sardonic and witty. And so the Trinidad fairy, white Trinidad dreadlocks, but a bit inadequate, when it comes to me anyway. I put up there, I said, Papa Legbar, kept appearing at crossroads. This is all through 2021. And I said, I need extra protection, and I need to let go graciously so I can invite new love, a new healthy, constructive, caring, loyal, faithful lover into my life, right? So since then, all through last year, beginning of when I went back dancing in April after the mandates were released last year, I've been attracting really young, far too young men, right? What meanwhile still upsetting myself and pining over and distressed about the Trinidad ferry and how all that went so sour and awful through no fault completely of my own, really. It takes two to tango. And let's face it, I witnessed last week the saboteurs in full activation, and saw how they willfully destroy any potential new partnerships I might make, right? So I found out last week that I'm not paranoid, and that there's a reason why I haven't had a boyfriend in 12 years. Because when I do meet someone who's genuine, they probably get whispered in the gents' toilets or at the bar, oh, you don't get in her hair, she's crazy, she believes in spirits, and she's a witch, and all this stupidity, which, all of those things are true, right? No harm, no foul. But, some ordinary, boring, mainstream man hearing that from some weirdo would be quite frightened. And, if they haven't had the couth and the grace to come up to me and say, oh, I hear you're a witch, and, spirits communicate with you, and, you have this rich inner life, I'd be like, yes, I do. How lovely of you to take interest. What would you like to know? It's like, but they lack the dignity and the intelligence and the grace to speak to the horse's mouth and ask me about my worldviews and my spirituality and my walk with the gods. It's not just a walk, it's a dance with the gods. We've been dancing a long time. And as when I started this video, when the gods returned me back to planet Earth in 2015 and again in 2019, I did not come back here willingly. As much as I love my daughter and my pets and my dear friends, I was not real thrilled about the fact that I was vomited back to planet Earth, because, I've had a difficult life. I spoke to a wonderful woman this morning that I met on the Art of Jewelry site, and she actually said to me, she asked me about, what I know about voodoo, and I said to her, I've studied all of that. I was raised by occultists. I said, I'm actually a Jew. I said, I was a very religious Jew for a very long time, until so much abuse happened that I just walked away and opened myself up to all the gods, or as I call it, God in all manifestations. And I said, and that has brought me peace. So I said, I have studied voodoo. I said, I don't practice it, but if I, feel the need, I will call upon certain gods and goddesses to strengthen me, ennoble me, encourage me, motivate me, bring me peace, So she said to me, I find that really interesting. She's an Italian lady. And I said, oh, okay. She said, I bet you there's a lot of people that really hate you and really dislike you. And I said, yes, because they're afraid of me, because they don't understand. They don't understand about the multiverses and the real world, the unseen world, and how immense it really is, and how beautiful it is, and how powerful it is. And, it should be treated with honour and respect, but they don't understand it. They just, they're either not religious, or they're dogmatic in their own religious worldviews, which are, starving people of their true spiritual nature. People are starving. And they don't, a lot of them, of course, don't even realise that they're, in a desert of hollow men, thirsting and starving. Then they meet me and they find out about Source, Creator, the Holy One. And yes, it's confronting if you've never believed in anything magical or mystical or mythological even. And so, yes, I said, yes, I am deeply hated and deeply feared. I said, but in some ways I like it like that, because I have no time for people that devalue and downgrade other people based on things that they don't understand. If I don't understand something, I ask. Like that man staring at me last night. I went straight up to him. Do you have a brother named Dave? Because I don't like being spied on by ex-lovers. And to his credit, I don't know the man, but he blushed and smiled at me with real compassion and understanding. And I thought, oh, you're actually a decent human being to understand why I asked that question and why I put it in such a way. Because it is threatening when you're dancing every weekend, having weirdo men just leering at you like that, it is unsettling. And I usually just ignore it, push it aside, but, I thought, I'm going to start asking questions of people that I see behaving in a certain way, because if I don't ask, I won't comprehend what their agendas are. Apart, like I said, from the obvious, I see a woman dancing wild and carefree, and it's stimulating babies. Anyway, so, yes, last week I wrote Saboteurs Be Gone, and last night, Friday night, there was not one saboteur in the house. I mean, there were the few of the staff members that look at me with consternation. But everyone was lovely last night. There was no nastiness or viciousness overtly directed at me. And I wore my I Defy t-shirt, my Deify t-shirt, because I want everyone to go within and find their inner god or goddess in harmony and deep reverence and awe and respect, of course, for Creator, from whom we all come. Like, I don't for one moment ever aspire to, claim to be more godly than God, because stupid and foolish thing to do, really. But it is true that we are all powerful beings in our own right, in our spirit, and we are gifted by that God with those things that we hold, often untapped and unchanneled and like a seed of life deep within our soul that we need to bring forth and bud and burst into flower, right? And there are souls on this planet who are just starting to find their bud, but are a long way from the flowering. And when the flowering comes, the flower being the genital of a plant, right? As I was reminded the other day watching a YouTube video, the flower must then burst forth its own fruits of life. So Mama T's getting a little bit fruity, isn't she? She's a little bit fruity. The fecund fruit, I'm overripe. As the singer who befriended me on Facebook some years ago, Tony Child, said to me, I think it was in 2018, I think it was 2018, maybe 2019. She said, "You're ready to pop, Tanya. Pop." burst out all my little dandelion seeds, and I was slowly popping them out one by one. But now the dandelion seeds of the Tanya are fluttering out in the breeze, looking for a safe landing of fertile ground to grow on, grow from, grow through, and create new life and new spirit and new potentialities, and blossom again. And it's been a constant process in my life of growth, decay, decimated by ghouls and monsters that is the stuff of nightmares over and over again. And of course the next time I decay will be, my eventual transitioning from this human body into another realm. And I'm conscious of that I'm getting older and time is fleeting, and I need to strut my stuff, dance my dance, perchance my chance, and make my life beautiful every single day in every single way, with harm to none and competition with or from none. So it is done. That's my little spell, people. But it really does work when you believe with heart, soul and intention of what you want to achieve in life. Big or small. Doesn't have to be grand machinations. Of course I'm limited. I'm limited by circumstances beyond my control at the moment. But I'm working towards making my life beautiful and making beautiful things. And eventually the love that I always dreamed of will come. All good things come to those who wait. I've only been waiting 58 years, but it could happen. But anyway, I made this last night prior to going out. I made this weeks ago. I actually made it on the 20th of April, so just over 2 weeks ago. But I made the little bail for it last night. I twisted the wire. Hang on, let's get this into focus. I made the little bail and balled the wire, although it balled up even more when I soldered the wire down. But that's okay, because it's still good. And I soldered a jump ring on it. It's quite a heavy piece. I'm trying to work out if I maybe need to put 2 jump rings on it. But it should be okay because it's soldered. But yeah, it's a heavy, chunky piece. But that's one of my babies I'm putting out into the world, a gum nut embryo, literally from the inside of a gum nut. And here's the smaller one that I want to solder the wire in, because initially I wanted it that it can spin and be, wriggle around like that. Oh, it's not doing it anyway. But then I realised what was going to happen is it would chafe against the wire and it would just snap the wire. So I decided to solder it down, or solder it in place so that it can't chafe and, break the wire. Although I guess the wire could break anyway, but I don't know. What do you think? Do you like it wobbly like that? Or do you like it firm and solid like that? Well, it's too late to change my mind on that one because that's soldered in. But, I kind of like it. I'm going to have to liver and sulfate it again to get the details, because I had already done that. But, of course, when I put the torch to it to solder the bail on and then the jump ring, we lost all the liver of sulfur effect. So there is that. And my other little gum nut babies. These are like the outside of the gum. Oop, the outside of the gum nut. Liver and sulfate inside it, so it looks like a real little gum nut. I've drilled the hole, and I've got to attach this wire that I made last night. I've got to buy more sterling silver wire. I've like run out now, well, of 1 millimeter. So my next goal is I want to, and they're about between $6,000 and $10,000, so out of my reach at the moment. But I want to buy a rolling mill, and that way I could melt scrap silver and then roll my own wire, and roll it and draw my own wire. So I'd need a drawing table as well, which I don't really have room in here for. But anyway, that's my next goal. And talking to Orietta this morning about polishing my opal, getting advice on what to do with my opal. She reminded me and suggested, and it's a valid suggestion, that I need to buy a proper polishing machine so I can polish my silver properly as well, but as well as for polishing opals, right? And she's quite correct about that. So that's another piece of equipment I need to buy. So it's come up good on the edges, but the actual part where the opal is still not quite shiny enough. So I'm working on this to bring it out its full glory. So yeah, I'm trying to get it. Let's get it in the light. Oh yeah, I've been working very hard, and I'm extremely tired because last night I danced myself to the point that and my hand's still a bit sore. My left hand seized up, and this finger seized up, and it went like that, and I couldn't open my hand, and it was seized and spasming, and it's still a bit tight, quite frankly. So I freaked out. I really freaked out. It's my grandmother, my father's mother. She had hands that were all like claws from really bad arthritis. So I don't know if that was like an arthritic type kind of reaction, or if it's because I was lacking in magnesium and potassium from dancing so hard for it. You know, about 4 hours I danced last night. 3.5, 4 hours. So yeah, but I'm very intrigued. I'm very intrigued at the moment. As I spoke to my friend Jared this morning, I told him about the casino and how none of the saboteurs showed up after I put basically a prayer out, an affirmation out to Papa Legba. I said, saboteurs be gone, Papa. We're not going to allow anyone interfering in my love life. I don't have a love life as it is, so certainly don't need any nasty people interfering with potential new friendships or potential relationships out of just sheer boredom and spite, which they've done before at the casino. You know, Dave, the Trinidad fairy, the English Trinidad fairy, was well sabotaged by all the viciousness that went on there, both at Irish Murphy's and at the casino in 2015. You know, and we were still sort of maintaining some kind of a friendship. We were still talking to each other right up until about 2017, 18. You know, I haven't spoken to him for 2 years really, so it's what, 2020 was the last time we had actually had a face-to-face interaction or conversation. So, or 2021, July 2021 was the last time we spoke on the phone and had a civil chat for about 40 minutes. I can't remember what about. We never talked about anything important, just sort of trivial stuff like I bake bread, or, you know, just very, he always kept it very basic and light, and not too deep, and not too delving into anything, to keep me at arm's length, right? Which is fine. That's fine. I understand. So, but now I know, and I'm greatly amused by it on some level. That's why I'm smiling. Now I know that the voodoo god Papa Legba is indeed protecting me, that all I had to say was saboteurs be gone. The following week not one was there. That was a little bit unusual, because some of those entities are there every weekend without fail, right? Every single weekend. And the fact that, you know, 4 or 5 of them were noticeably absent was a little bit astonishing. So be careful what you ask for. Of course, when I said be gone, I meant be gone out of my face, causing me problems. I don't wish them harm in any way, and no harm, no foul. I don't wish I'm not putting voodoo curses on them, or I'm not wishing any harm to anyone. I'm just don't want to be harassed when I go out to have a lovely time. I don't want people interfering in my love life. On the few and rare occasions I pay attention to a member of the male sex, you know, it's just not cricket. It's not Jamaica mon. It's not cricket mon. Which was ironic, because last night was all footballers that had come to the casino after some big football match. So they were all hyped up from the football and very excited. And look, honestly, there were hardly any women. It was only me, myself, my friend Joe, Sally. Oh wait, that's better. My friend Sally. There were only a few women comparatively to, you know, a sea of men. So it was a little bit confronting. Like, I'm used to it because I've been going there for so long, but it would be a bit confronting to someone who's new to the casino, right? So anyway, I feel like I'm being listened to again. I get paranoid. Not paranoid in a bad way, but there is thumping and thing about out there. My neighbour's probably busy in his garden, you know. But they do listen to me quite often. There's videos I've made where he pops randomly up. I mean, they're lovely people, actually. But it's a bit like... It was one of those TV shows I used to watch in the 90s or early 2000s. And I can't remember. Oh, Tim the Tool Man, I think it was called. And he had a neighbour that you just saw over the fence, just the head and the neck, and he always wore one of those weird fishing hats. Can't remember his name. Do you remember that show? And it was just so weird. You just see the head go, oh. Well, it's a bit kind of like that flavour, except it's not just the head, you know. They obsessively listen to me when I talk on the phone to my friend Jared or Lynn, you know, and or I make YouTube videos, and I think they find it all very fascinating. But on some level, they're like monitoring me because they're a bit wary and scared of me because I'm weird and spiritual, you know. But that's okay. I'll carry on being weird and spiritual because, like I say, I don't wish anyone any harm, and by the gods, I really fully expect that no one dares harm me, because I won't be compromising on that. Anyone harming me will have all hells unleashed on their head for eternity, because I'm done. I'm done being threatened, strangled, attacked, raped, brutalised, slandered, maligned. And now the latest trick, not the latest, but a repeat pattern of having my romances interfered with by low-level, malevolent, jealous entities who don't wish me don't wish me well, you know. There's no benevolence in that. I don't mind if someone was being protective and they said, oh, look, Tanya, that guy over there is a rapist, or that guy over there is going to really damage you, like, just stay away. That's a kettle of a different fish, you know. But they're not being protective. They're just being nasty, not wanting me to have a nice evening with somebody lovely. You know, and also they're taking away my agency and my judgment, because, as always, I go home alone. I go home alone for a reason, you know. I'm not there to be picked up and treated like worse than a prostitute. I'm not there to be used and abused and maligned. And Trinidad Fairy, by the way, whether he is or is not sending spies on me, I can't be 100% certain of that. But I suspect he is, because he keeps tabs of me on the West End Drumming Circle group, doesn't he? And we know that for a fact, because I've seen the little button pushing that went on there, although it stopped since I called it out in my YouTube video. So Trinidad Fairy is quite capable of sending, I don't know, the man said he's not his brother, and he may be telling the truth. He may be another relative, like a cousin or something. Although Dave's cousin is actually quite handsome and blonde and very German looking, to be honest, so, for an Englishman. So I know he may not have any connection to him at all. The only connection might be the similar modus operandi of sitting and watching from the distance, obsessively staring without making any effort. I mean, at least Dave made the effort initially to introduce himself and tell me he thought I had a lovely outfit on and try and befriend me. You know, he actually had some skills in the beginning. So there is that. Anyway, this man is not in my life, and he's still needling at me without even trying, right? So that's not him, that's me, and I have to take ownership over that. Meanwhile, young Daniel, who's younger than me, not too young, not as young as some of those young lads that were dancing with me last night, but he is younger than me, was so sweet last night. He came up. I was actually exhausted and looking down at my feet, so I hadn't even noticed him standing in front of me. And my friend Joe, he was standing, he was probably waiting for me to acknowledge him, but I was actually so tired. I was looking down at my feet. And my friend Joe sort of gave me a little nudge. And then I looked up, and there's Daniel standing in front of me, like, and I stood up, because he is a lovely man. He's been always very lovely to me. So I stood up and I threw my arms around him, kissed his cheek, and, oh, hello, Daniel, so good to see you. And he's like, I love you. And he was hugging me so tight. And I was fully conscious that my boobs were pressed right up against his chest. I thought, oh dear God, you know, let's not encourage them too much. But it was a genuine, heartfelt, affectionate, platonic, brotherly hug. And you know what? I actually really appreciated that, because I was getting at that stage of the evening when he turned up, was about midnight-ish. I was already on my third wind. So the third wind isn't too bad, but the fourth wind and the fifth wind is when I start to get really crazy and really wild and really, really sort of mischievous, I guess you could call it. So, yeah, so anyway, that was lovely. He hugged me and kissed my cheek and actually gave me a peck on the mouth, which is fine. I allow that, but nothing else. And but he was sweet. He was like, I love you. Oh, they all love me, but they won't date me, right? But they love to they love to have this fantasy in their head that they're my casino boyfriends, you know. It's all quite bizarre, really. It's all quite bizarre. So anyway, he was very sweet, and it was actually very grounding, because as I said I was on my third wind by then. I was starting to slowly unravel. Una raveling, ravel, aka bolero, ravel, and spiral up and down on the hurdy-gurdy of my inner Kundalini rising, spiritual, uplifting of my spirit, right? Which I do, which I have to do. I don't have to do, but I choose to do regularly every weekend. Jeweler by day during the week, sometimes in the evenings as well, and wild dancer on the weekend, and then recovery mode, and then off we go again. But anyway, I've lost the thread of what I wanted to make this video about. Oh yes, the wave function collapse, my little psychic ways. So on when I posted this photo of this little gumnut baby on my Instagram on the 20th of April, that was, I wrote, because I sometimes write funny little quirky things on my Instagram hashtags, just for kicks, just for shits and giggles. Like, no one sees it really, just me or maybe a few people that might look at my page. But I wrote magic happens, something along those lines of magic happens and it's all wonderful, or only if you allow it, or something like that. And then I wrote, the last thing I wrote, the last hashtag I wrote was cover me in kisses. And I giggled and giggled because that's a line from a song. Cover me in kisses, baby, cover me in love, blah, 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 blah. I think it's a Blondie song, actually. Anyway, I was laughing because I was like channeling little bits of that song and writing that, but putting it in the hashtags. And I must have been feeling a bit romantic that day when I posted this, because it was literally a message out to the cosmos, like, I'm feeling a bit, a bit stimulated and a bit happy and joyful and a little bit romantic. Anyway, I didn't think anything more of it, right? That was the 20th. And then, literally on the 25th, so only 5 days later, that young Aboriginal man came up, and he did indeed keep kissing my cheek with quite ardent sweetness and monotonous regularity, and did try to kiss me as well, which I did not allow because I didn't know him. Like, I'll pick the men I know, or I did give little young Raymond a peck on the lips when he met me at the casino a few months ago, but only because he was really quite sweet and childlike and was innocent. But you normally don't kiss them on the mouth at all, because of COVID and vaccine shedding. Yuck. So yes, there is that bit of a worry, that. But anywho, apart from all that darkness and horror and worry, I realised that when that came true, I posted it last night on Facebook, actually, the picture of where I'd written cover me in kisses. And then like last night too, like younger Daniel was my cheek, and some other man kissed my cheek too. I didn't know him from Adam. I was like, anyway, but look, I must say, by and large, the men that are coming out dancing now are very sweet and romantic and ardent and passionate and enthusiastic. But also there's this level of like childlike, boyish, sensuality, but masculine sensuality, but not overt, oh, fuck you kind of thing, which is ugly, but just this boyish, mischievous, sort of light-hearted playfulness. And I really like that. I like not feeling like, I'm about to be raped by some animal who's brutal and vicious, and I hate that. Anyone comes near me with that flavour, instant kill switch. It's like, but now they come to me, literally some of them are barely out of boyhood, like far too young, with this like grandson energy, or the older men are like playful and childlike and light-hearted and boyish. And so I don't know if that's the influence of Papa Legba, who's protecting me and bringing people who are playful and can play with my energy in a non-harmful, respectful way, or whether it's because coming out of the COVID epoch where everyone was terrorised and traumatised for 3 years, whether they've just kind of reached this point where they just want to be playful and have fun and be kind of innocent again, which is sweet. But as I said to Jared this morning, we've had the sweetening for the last 12 months, and now the flavour is the zeitgeist, because I measure it on how things are going on in the live bar at the casino, because I'm there every weekend in the public, in public, full public view, dancing my weird shamanic dance, right? Now I'm noticing what I call the darkening, where there's this impending sense of threat and a levelling up of fear and a kind of a toxicity. So I'm monitoring that carefully, because I've enjoyed the sweetening. I've actually enjoyed that they've been so bloody traumatised that they've approached me with genuine heartfelt kindness and consideration and sweetness. So there is that. But I can't control the zeitgeist, and I certainly can't control anybody else but my own self. Sometimes I have trouble maintaining my own congruency, but it was a lovely night last night, and I really enjoyed myself. And although I was so exhausted I could die when I left that casino, it's actually dangerous for me to get into that state where I'm that depleted. I'm glad I went out and that I had a lovely night. So we'll see what happens next week, and what the spirits, instruct me next week. And watch this space. I'm very interested to see who comes forward and, shows his true intentions and is decent and honourable. Time will tell. Probably won't happen next week, but I'm carefully monitoring it, even though I'm whirling dervishing all over the dance floor, acting what, to normative behaviours would be deemed to be crazy. Don't worry, I'm fully conscious of what's going on and monitoring all of the energies that are there. So, hypervigilance of a trauma survivor is a backhanded gift, people. A very valuable backhanded gift. Pity it came from absolute torture, but, there is that. But anyway, on that note, I've got some Lifesavers chocolate, because I'm a lifesaver. I'm a lover of life, l'chaim, and blackcurrant jellies. I'm going to partake of the Quetzalcoatl, who is an Aztec god who invented chocolate. Well, certainly brought cacao. Cacao is where chocolate comes from. So Quetzalcoatl and I we're simpatico. We both have a love of chocolate, and I might go and have a little rest. So love to all. I don't know if my video made sense today. I kind of meandered all around like a dance, a slow building dance, And I reached peaks and I reached troughs. And now I've hit the trough. I'll have to go and have a little rest. So, love to all. Be well. Be happy. Deify. Honour your God or goddess within. Honour the ancient ones, your ancestors. Honour Gaia, our Mother Earth on which we live. We were seeded here like dandelion seeds. And it's up to us to make our life beautiful, carefree, joyful, prosperous, productive, nurturing, loving, and kind. And healthy. Don't forget healthy. And I live a very, very rich, abundant, joyful life by the grace of the gods, the Holy One in all manifestations. Let us never forget. And by the grace of my beautiful friends and my love partner who is yet to manifest in my life in any real, tangible, meaningful way, but is out there somewhere, circling my energy, watching and waiting. Don't make me wait too long, big boy. I'm getting old and I'm getting frail and I'm getting a little bit tired. Time is of the essence. My time is now, the eternal now. So hurry up before my hands claw up and I can't do much with you. Just saying. Bye for now, my beloveds. Love to you all. Take care.